Now, I think that we could all agree here that the current state of the film industry and the entirety of Hollywood is pretty much going to be an everlasting thing for the rest of the 2020s. I don't see any sign of a resolution in sight for multiple Hollywood studios out there, and pretty much at this point we know that the top one that really is sticking to their agenda is the Walt Disney Company, without a doubt. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, as I've stated before in the past, it's not just limited to Disney, but it's also catered to other Hollywood studios out there that are dealing with the box office failure trend, the box office flop trend of 2023, and how it's only going to get worse throughout, of course, the remaining of 2024 and what's looming for 2025 as well. That's already half the decade right there, where the current state of the film industry has been tarnishing. And when you look at everything by the CEOs of Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal, and among other studios out there, it's only getting worse. Now, focusing on Jerry Seinfeld, legendary comedian, legendary actor as far as I'm concerned. I mean, this guy really hit an all-time record with the hit series, of course, Seinfeld, that really is still, going through reruns to this day. Now, recently you guys may very well have seen that he called out everything related to the current state of the film industry and how Hollywood is dying, how comedy is dying, and pretty much there's no way of reversing that at this point in time right now. Now, focusing on everything about what's going on with Seinfeld and his overall battle with woke Hollywood, essentially, and all of the Hollywood studios that are just diving into these agendas, everything related to DEI and ESG, etc., etc. Now, on top of this, of course, with the current state of Hollywood rapidly crumbling due to many box office failures from multiple studios across the board, one major development now has much to do with multiple Hollywood studios that are already beginning to take action against comedian Jerry Seinfeld after he exposed the current state of the film industry and who was responsible. It turns out that Seinfeld was initially set to have multiple projects created under Netflix, apart from his upcoming film called Unfrosted, that have now been called off by Netflix executives and its CEO. Now, Seinfeld was in agreement to create a series of comedic-related films for Netflix that would tap into different subgenres that would expand his, of course, involvement with Netflix that are now no longer moving forward after his most recent comments about how Hollywood is dead, essentially, and comedy is failing due to the woke mob, quote-unquote. In addition to this, even HBO was in serious talks with Seinfeld to get involved in more projects after the series finale of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Some of these projects by HBO were going to be new stand-up specials and films as well that would hold comedic value that are all also no longer moving forward and have come to a complete halt where Jerry Seinfeld was excluded by HBO. And finally, one of the more shocking turn of events is that Seinfeld was also in talks with the Walt Disney Company due to extensive voiceover work for a National Geographic special that he was recently let go from behind the scenes after his most recent comments about the extreme executives and their agendas in Hollywood and in comedy and the film industry at large. Now, Seinfeld is already going head-to-head with these studios in a desperate move to reinstate his projects, to save comedy and to save entertainment, and to show who's really in control, which boils down, by the way, to the talent, to the performers, the actors, the actresses, etc., for the film industry and comedy. This ongoing situation is only getting worse, as Seinfeld is already planning to expose Hollywood and the film industry further on other, of course, radio programs and podcasts in the near future in a sudden move to enhance and to actually save other comedians' careers as well, and even actors. Now, to top things all off, CEO Bob Iger of Disney no longer wants anything to do with Seinfeld after the National Geographic situation fell apart, moving onwards for Nat Geo, and all bets are off after his most recent comments about the agendas that are being thrown around in Hollywood and really, just wreaking havoc on every single Hollywood studio. Now, Seinfeld's involvement with Disney was said to actually have been a multi-million-dollar deal working with Nat Geo. Seinfeld is also reportedly gathering with other comedians and actors to take a stand against the current status of Hollywood that share his beliefs and his view of the film industry. Something that these three studios, after reportedly, of course, already aware of and are already set to begin getting involved in that drama. Now, Seinfeld was also going to be involved in a new animated film with Universal as a special voiceover that suddenly came to a halt as well, where he was excluded from that project, as all of these studios, by the way, are grouping together to exclude Seinfeld from those projects in particular that they were working on, where the majority of them were going to be announced by this fall, as Seinfeld, of course, begins to go on a path to enhance his career in his later years within the film industry. Now, before I move on, guys, let me just say one thing about Seinfeld, is that I think it was very brave of him to finally take a stand against the current status of Hollywood by what the executives are doing nowadays with the Hollywood and with the film industry at large. Now, the thing about Seinfeld is that they pretty much, and as in they, I'm talking about Universal, I'm talking about Disney, I'm talking about Netflix, and among other studios that no longer want anything to do with him. Even HBO are calling off all, decisions for his stand-up specials after his most recent comments. Now, Seinfeld, the fact that he wants to continue to call them out, to continue to call out these extreme executives connected to these studios, these extreme CEOs like Bob Iger, like, of course, other CEOs connected to other Hollywood studios out there, is a very great thing as far as I'm concerned. Now, at the end of the day, we have people out there like Ryan Reynolds, Henry Cavill, now Jerry Seinfeld, Gina Carano, and among others that are joining that group that are really beginning to get very fed up with how everything is becoming so restricted and PC, and how you really have limited options now as an actor, as an actress, as a comedian, what you're able to talk about, what you're able to present, how you're able to act in these movies and these TV shows, etc., etc. And that's exactly why you're beginning to see the walls close in on studios like Disney, HBO, Universal, etc., etc., and it's not looking good for this year, and most certainly, it's not looking good for 2025. Now, already Seinfeld is now going to other studios to discuss other projects that will be agenda-free, and you know what? Good on him about that. I really do congratulate Jerry Seinfeld for at least having a brain, and at least having some common sense about what's happening today in 2024, and how, in reality, guys, let's be real, it's been an ongoing issue for multiple years now. I think that 2024, it just hit an all-time low is the only thing here. And we also, what's been going on with the latest, situation related to Disney, and how they are pretty much the pinnacle of what the current status is within the film industry. So overall, I would love to hear what you all have to say about the ongoing scenario with Jerry Seinfeld below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.